Hey, welcome to my fifth video. This is T12 on T12H EDH. This video is top or 10 green cards that could help any green commander deck. I'm focusing on any green commander deck. These aren't very specific abilities. These are just nice, interesting, kind of small abilities that can help any deck that has green in it to kind of help with consistency. There's kind of some interesting cards that also they kind of have a low play count. When I was looking at their EDH rec, these are like 3%ers or below. A lot of them are like 0%ers, 1%ers on there, so not very many decks run these. So anyways, some 10 interesting green cards that you can be in your green decks. All right, let's start. All right, before I start, just want to say that these aren't in any particular order, but here we go. Number 1, Blessed Respite. This is a pretty versatile card, and that's why it made the list. Only in 1,300 decks. Target player shuffles their graveyard into their library. So right there, that's 2 mana, Graveyard Hate. I think Graveyard Hate is criminally underplayed, at least in my play group. A lot of people, and also people don't think it's not a fun thing to do. It's not a cool thing to do, I guess. There's other things they want to fit in their decks, and they kind of forget that some graveyards strategies can kind of go crazy if you don't have any Graveyard Hate. There's so many times I'll play my Mirren deck or my decks all like use the graveyard, and people just, well, oh, I don't have any Graveyard Hate in my deck. I'm like, well, and that's not good because I'm probably gonna win. So having Graveyard Hate in your deck's pretty important. But this is a versatile card because it also is a fog effect. Fog is actually pretty valuable in Commander because people do haste stuff all the time, Crater Hoof Behemoth stuff all the time. Just being able to save the table, save yourself, but while also maybe having the ability to stop someone's reanimation strategy is awesome. Another thing that I like to do is you can shuffle your own graveyard back. So if your deck kind of lacks a lot of recursion, but you have a lot of key pieces in your graveyard, a lot of decks out there they just kind of like use their stuff and then it's gone. But having this in your deck, you can just shuffle everything back. Maybe in response to a Bajuka Bog, or maybe someone does have a Graveyard Hate, you can just shuffle your stuff back so you don't lose it forever if they try to exile it. But yeah, number 1, Blessed Respite. All right, number 2, in only 840 decks, you happen on a Glade. The new Dungeon & Dragons set. This card I've just put into, I'm not going to give you guys cards that I'm not playing. I put this in my Tamir Lands deck, Spousine Lands, and I absolutely love this card. I've never been mad to draw it. Searching up 2 basics, the Journey On part, I think that's great. Like, people will play like Cultivates and Economics Reaches, which are probably, just ramping is probably better overall, but that's all it does is ramp. This and guaranteeing your next 2 land drops with this is great, but then late game, if you draw late game Cultivate, it just doesn't feel good. But if you draw this late game, you can get your best permanent card from your graveyard. I love that versatility. So this can be in land slot. 3 mana isn't that much to do this effect. And being an instant is great too. So if you're like kind of an instant speed deck, it can fit into a lot of different strategies, but just the searching up 2 basic lands, ensuring your next 2 land drops is just awesome. So I've really enjoyed this card in my Tamir deck. It's awesome. All right, number 3, Abundant Harvest. In 2,150 decks, MDFCs have really made me look at cards differently ever since they printed those. Being able to be a land or a spell. Abundant Harvest to me is an MDFC. It's a guaranteed land or guaranteed spell. You just don't know which one. You don't know what spell it's going to be. But I consider Abundant Harvest a tap land, so you can totally lower your land count and put this in there. People play cycle lands, so they don't get flooded. They can cycle them later. Abundant Harvest, to me, is just a tap land because you tap the land, you tap a green to do it, and then it could be, when you say land, you could get another tap land. Maybe you have some tap lands, so maybe it's double tap lands, but if you name land. But late game, it's guaranteed a spell, because if you cycle a cycle land, you're not guaranteed a spell. You might just cycle into another land. Abundant Harvest, again, I've been putting these in a few decks as a land. I don't put it in as one of my spell slots because this is just guaranteed a land. So, and there's some other things. If being a sorcery can be relevant to your deck, but I just think this is a great card. Just put it in your deck in the land slot. because it's guaranteed land unless you don't have a lot of green sources. I think maybe once you get to like a 4 or 5 colored, maybe even a 3 color deck, if you're just splashing green, maybe don't put an end land slot. But 100% and 2 colored, and obviously the green deck, just mono green, put it in there as a land. It's great. All right, number 4, Dryads Revival. Now, this is only in 470 decks, and I can't believe it's not in more. Everyone knows, if you've watched my channels, I love Eternal Witness. It's just Eternal Witness times 2. 5 mana to return something. People are like, oh, that's a lot of mana. But seriously, if you're wanting something and you have 5 mana, actually, you're gonna. It's just great. I don't understand why you wouldn't play this. This is just great in any deck. You can put it in anything. And then if you're a mill deck, it's just even better. So I put this in my Mirren deck, hoping to mill it over with some dredging and stuff like that. But this is just your best card twice in your graveyard. Its recursion is just something that I think people need to do more often in any deck. Don't just because you're a reanimator deck, then you can play recursion. Play recursion in any deck, any strategy. It doesn't matter. Just have some sort of recursion in your deck. So green is the best at recursion. It can get any card. So yeah, Dryad Revival. I can't believe this is only on 470 decks. This is my favorite card out of this. What was it? Midnight Hunt. Yeah. So this is my favorite card out of that set. So anyways, put this in your deck if you haven't. All right, number 5, Heart Warden. Only in 900 decks. I think this card is great. A lot of people play like, what's that one? Rampant Growth or stuff like that as their ramp. People don't need to play Heart Warden in like an elf deck either. But I would play this over a Rampant Growth. I would never play Rampant Growth in any of my decks. I just think that's just, I don't think having designated just ramp, and that's all it does. I just don't like that well. Heart Warden is ramp. It's also a creature. It's a body, but then that sacrifice ability, it doesn't have to tap either. So like for 4 mana, you can cycle this away if you need to. You can block, sacrifice, and you can use its own mana to sacrifice itself. So that's great too. So I don't know. This is just a great little card that if you want to add some ramp to your deck, but this is just late game. I loving having if I do put ramp in my decks, I want my ramp to do more than just ramp. This can ramp, but then late game, if you already have enough mana, cycle this away, try to get to your stuff that's going to help you win the game or find answers. But yeah, I'm probably going to make a video about ramp, about stuff like that I was just mentioning at some point. Just make sure if you're going to put ramp in your deck, make sure it does more than just ramp. This does more than just ramp, and I can't believe it's only in 900 decks. It's great. All right, number 6, Fungal Rebirth. It's an instant. Now that's what makes this playable for only in, again, 900 decks. Return target permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. Another recursion card. I think there we go. I'm going to say keep on giving you recursion cards. It's great. But this is a little bonus that's tacked onto it. If your creature died this turn, create 2/1/1 green sapling creature tokens. Now, this is great with Eternal Witness. Eternal Witness, get this back and kind of loop them while you could chump block with your Witness, get some more chump blockers if you're trying to, if you're at late game, you might have a ton of mana to start doing that kind of looping. Just getting back your best permanent over and over again, be a fetch land if you need to hit a land drop. Just being an instant is great too. If you have blue also, you can hold the counter spells, nothing happens, return your best thing. Pretty versatile card, and I actually have not seen this played in the wild. I think this is something that should be explored. It could be in token decks. It could just be in any green deck also. So I don't know. Check it out. I think it's actually pretty good. All right, number 7. Number 7 is going to be kind of a group of cards, and I just kind of want to point out a card that a lot of people are playing. Corson Grip. The splits, people love that split second, and it costs 1 more mana for an effect, the naturalize, destroy targeted artifact or enchantment ability. That split second, I think, is not relevant enough to make this playable, and it sees play in 56,000 decks. So I just wanted to give you a few replacements that are kind of similar, that has the same destroy artifact or enchantment, that might be a little bit more versatile. So here I have a few number 7. So you get a little bonus on this one. So let's look at these. Broken Bond. This is in 12,000 decks. It's probably the highest one that I've recommended out of. It has a lot of, I love this because it's removal, but it's also ramp. And so that shows you that I said if you're going to have played ramp, make sure it does more than just ramp. So this ramps, but also can destroy someone's soul ring or any problematic artifact or enchantment. Awesome. But it looks like this one has already been, has a good amount of play. But if you haven't seen this one, try it out. I know it's sorcery, but, you're ramping too. So it'd be pretty busted if it was instant. Wilt, again, I think the cycling on this is just great. Way more relevant than that split second. There might not be an artifact or enchantment that you want to play, but then it's just not going to rot in your hand. You can look for stuff that might push you to win the game or find the right answers. Maybe a board wipe is something you need. So the cycling is great. Only on 3,500X. And this is a new one from the Dungeons and Dragons. Choose one. Smash it, destroy target artifact. Lift the curse, destroy target enchantment, and steal its eyes. Now, this is the part that I think makes it. This is now, again, ramp. It's not like a rapid growth where you guarantee ramping a lot or land that's staying on the field, but you get a treasure, and then you also get the venture. That's a little extra value, and if you recur this, you maybe start getting into that venture, that dungeon a little bit further, and maybe you might be able to complete it by the end of the game if you make your deck be able to recur stuff pretty good. So again, sorcery, but you have that little extra tack on that it can be an early ramp if you want to sneak out your commander faster. So you find a cursed idol, number 7. All right, number 8, Moment's Peace, another fog. I think fog, this is just great because it's 2 times fog. You get double for 1 card. It's only 1,600 decks. That's kind of crazy to me. I wouldn't play just normal fog, but this being 2 fogs, and also it's funny how the flashback can actually make people just not attack you, so you don't ever have to use it. So they're like, oh, he's just got a fog if I attack him. So you might just have this, and it might just be a little like mental force field from your opponents to actually attack you because they know they're just going to waste their attack. So yes, Moment's Peace, I think should definitely see more plays. It's an older card, and it's only in 600 decks. I think, and especially if you're a self-mill deck too. This is a great card. Try it out. All right, number 9, Gaia's Blessing. Oh, in 4,000 decks, I was actually surprised that that's still like super low, like a 1%er for decks, especially being an older card. But I wish this was an instant. But yeah, sorcery, target player shuffles up to 3 target cards from his or her graveyard into his or her deck. So you can use this as a graveyard hate. Take out someone's Life of the Loam, or Dredgers, or just, their Reanimator deck, anything that they're recurring or afraid that they might recur, to shuffle it back in their deck, and then make it a lot harder for them to get it. And then you draw a card. If they didn't have the draw a card tacked on this thing I would not put on the list, but, 2 mana, just draw a card, it's just fine. So, but then it has this other secret text that if this gets milled from your library, you shuffle your graveyard into your library. So if you have this in your deck, and you haven't used it yet, it's just still in your deck, you're immune to mill. And I've been milled out a few times in Commander, and it's kind of cool. If you had this in your deck, you just won't be milled. So that's kind of nice too. If you combo this up with your Blessed Respite too, which is that first number 1 card, you can then just kind of go infinite and never run out of cards, and then shuffle the Gaia's Blessing back, so you just will never mill out. It's kind of cool to, and that's another thing. Like what I'm meaning is you can target your stuff too that you want to recur later. So yeah, pretty versatile card, and cantrips. So try it out. All right, my last one, number 10, Yavamaya Elder. This is one of my first cards that I really started enjoying Commander. I remember putting this in my first Commander deck and thinking that it is actually awesome, but it has fallen out of favor only in 12,500 decks. That's still one of the higher ones on this list. If it's the highest one, actually. But this is just makes it so consistent. It's draw 3, if you think about it. You sacrifice to draw a card with the 2 mana ability, and then you get to get 2 basics. So you'll get 2 basics, ensuring your land drops, making sure you hit every single land drop, I think is way, way, way more important than ramping. I think you need to hit all your land drops. It's just in Magic in general. You want to hit your land drops so you can play your stuff. So this just helps that consistency, getting those lands, but then it just gives you that bonus little extra card. I've used this in pod decks. Sack it, get a couple basics, go up to my 4 mana creature. Super, super versatile, and just makes your deck runs so much smoother when you have these abilities like getting extra lands to play. So, anyways, number 10, Yavamaya Elder. All right, that was my 10 green cards that could help any green Commander deck. I hope you enjoyed those 10. If there's any special like pet cards that maybe don't see a lot of play that you guys can tell me about, put it in the comments. I would love to see some of your guys' favorite cards that kind of like are underplayed and maybe help your decks out, help your deck's consistency. So I think I'm going to be doing a video like this for every color. I already have 10 white cards picked out. I'll try to make PowerPoint soon and make a video on that at some point. So anyways, hope you enjoyed that, and talk to you later.